So I've been making a lot of mini palettes for like Christmas presents. I've been involved in a lot of Dirty Santas with like gift swaps and art students, and my daughter's done some with her friends, and so this is a great gift for anyone who is interested in art or likes art and would consider doing watercolor. So what you're going to need a tin of some sort. You're going to need some watercolor paints, and this one is going to a good friend of mine, so I'm using some nice professional grade watercolors. You're going to need a Sharpie, some watercolor paper, some packing tape, some sticky back magnets, and you're going to need some of these little things. And these are half pans. I took the mints out and put them in a Ziploc. So I thought this was a cute little tin. I found it at Office Depot. The mints look like champagne bottles, maybe wine bottles. I guess wine bottles because it's got wine on the front. So I think that watercolor is good therapy. So when I saw that, and there are several of us art teachers that hang out in a group, so I thought that was a cute tin. And you'll also need a pair of scissors, sorry. So I think that's everything we're going to need to make this palette. So I have planned out, move some of my stuff to the side. I have planned out a split primary color wheel, or color palette. I know that 7 little trays will fit into this tin. Let me see if I can, because I already measured it out. And Altoids tin will hold a lot more than this. This is a really small tin. So I can kind of wiggle them around, and they're snug, but they fit, and it holds 7. So rather than just a simple split primary, I'm going to add a burnt sienna because it's useful to have a brown without having to mix one. So the colors I'm using, going around the color wheel, are Hansa Yellow Medium, Phthalo Blue Green Shade, French Ultramarine, Quinacridone Rose, Pyrrole Scarlet, and New Gamboge, and Burnt Sienna. And these are Daniel Smith professional watercolors. The reason that I use a split primary, or that I'm putting a split primary in here, is this yellow, if I mix it with the red to make oranges, since it's a cool yellow, it's not going to work as well as a warmer yellow to make oranges. Same thing here. This Pyrrole Scarlet's going to make better oranges. This Quinacridone Rose is going to make better purples. This Phthalo Blue Green Shade, it's there in the name, it'll make better greens. And the French Ultramarine will work with this Quinacridone Rose to make some gorgeous purples. So, this watercolor paper, I'm going to do a little swatch of each color on, and then the back will be a mixing palette. So this is a teeny tiny little tin. I mean, you can see how small it is. So it would be great to stick in a pocket even, or a purse, or a Ziploc and with a water brush or whatever. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to label the pans as to what color is going to go in them. I'm going to use the Ultra Fine Point Sharpie, and basically I'm going to put, come on Sharpie, DS on the front for Daniel Smith of each one, and then I'm going to add the color name on the side. So I'm going to speed this up. Okay, so if you don't know where to get these half pans, I got them, they're made by Mead, and I got them on Amazon. You can, I know for like $6 you can get like 48 of these with the magnets to go on the bottom already. But I'm going to be using this magnetic tape that I got at Hobby Lobby to put a magnet on each of these to hold them in place in the tin. They fit so tightly, I don't think that they really need it, but this way, I do this with all my tins because I can pull them out, I can put different ones in, I can rearrange them, so I really like that. So I'm just going to cut some of this up and stick them on the bottom of these. Okay, so I've got magnets on all of my little pans. Like I said, if they fit snugly, you don't even have to use magnets. If you don't want to use magnets, you could always use sticky dots or double-sided tape, something like that, to hold them in place. So now, because these are kind of a snug fit, and when I put them in, they're going to be full of liquid watercolors, I need to go ahead and kind of plan out the order I'm going to put them in the palette in. So I decided to put the brown here, and I put the new gamboge next to it because to me it seems like more of a color that would go with browns. And I put Pyrrole Scarlet next to it to make orange, so they're close to make oranges. And I wanted to put the colors, the matching colors opposite each other, so I put the Hansa Yellow Medium up here and the Quinacridone Rose here. I put the French Ultramarine beside the Quinacridone Rose to make good purples, and the only one left was the Phthalo Blue, so she will have to mix diagonally to get her greens. Well, depending on the green. I mean, a pure green will give you this, and a muddier green, you know, these two. But that's the only one that she's, you know, that's not right beside, because these two make orange, these two make purple. So, I'm ready to start adding my paint to my pans. So, I'm going to start with these two corners and fill in the bottom row, and then I'll start with these two and fill in that last one in the top. So, I'll do the first one without speeding it up, but then after that I'm going to speed it up, and I probably shouldn't have squeezed that before I did this. In fact, I probably should move over to something that's going to be less mess if I get it everywhere, because I just put this paper out for my background. Some handmade paper I found in a drawer. Alright, so I'm double checking. Burnt sienna. Unscrew it over the top because I was squeezing on it. Okay, we only had a little squirt out. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try my best to fill in the corners and the bottom. So I'm just kind of smushing it and pointing kind of at the corners. And then I'm going to tap, 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 because I don't know if you can see it. It's kind of coming up at a point. So I'm going to tap and get that point to lay down flatter. To get the paint sticking up to go back in my tube, if you kind of put a little pressure on the sides, it'll suck that paint right back up in there, and I can put the lid back on. Alright, one down. I'm going to go ahead and put it in the palette, and it's going to kind of be smushed over to the side. And then I'm going to speed up the rest. Okay, so the harder part of making the palette is done. So now comes the fun part. So we're going to make a card to go inside this once it's dried, because it's not dry now. I've got some little peaks sticking up that I'm going to probably need to, let's see if I can use a needle to smooth those peaks down a little bit, because I don't want them sticking to my card that I'm going to put in here. I'm just kind of poking it down in the corner. And I think that's pretty good. This blue could be a little flatter. I think there's still a little red on my needle here. Now there's red on my fingers. I'm just kind of tucking it down in the corners. Okay. All right. So I'm going to wipe my fingers off, because I don't want to get color on anything. Poor old Scarlet's sticking to my fingers. Okay, so what we're going to do is, I'm just using a little mini watercolor. This is actually a good width. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of estimate the height I need, because it's obviously got to be smaller than the tray, and we need a little extra space for the tape that we're going to laminate it with. So I'm just going to try right about here. And that fits in there nicely. And there's a little bit of room to spare for laminating. It's a teeny bit crooked. I'm going to take a little bit off that corner there. Let's try it from this way. Okay. So now I have a little mini palette, basically. What I'm going to do is I'm going to swatch out and label the colors so she will know what is in her palette and she can kind of see what they look like. I've got, this is cold pressed paper because some of these are granulating, and I don't know how much she's going to be able to see because these are going to be teeny tiny little swatches. So let me find a small brush here. Okay, now my swatch card is done. I just need to let it dry, and then I can label it, and then I can laminate this card, and that will give my friend a mixing area on the back. She can slide in the lid and actually mix paints on the back side with a nice bright white showing through, and it will give her samples of each of her colors, so she'll know what color she has, but this needs to dry first. So I've played around with the colors a little bit on my scrap piece, and I decided this was going to be the tag. So I'm going to let it dry, and I'm going to flip it over and do like a little color wheel on this side. Okay, so there's really just one thing left to do, and that is to laminate this. If you have like the little laminating pouches or something like that, you could use it. What I have is heavy duty shipping tape, Scotch brand by 3M. And all I'm going to do is I'm going to lay some out. There's a cat here. And I'm going to take my card and I'm going to center it and press it on there, and then actually I'm going to cut it, and I'm going to flip it over, and actually I'm going to line it up where I'm not going to get on my tag, and I'm going to stick it on there. Now once I have done that, I'm going to go around the edge and use my thumbnail to really seal it up close around the edge of the card. And that will allow me to cut it closer without it worrying about the tape peeling back later. Okay, so I have sealed it closely all around the edge, and then I'm going to cut it. And if you notice, if you look closely, I don't know if you can see it on there, but there is like a teeny bit of airspace around the edge. You see it? I don't want to cut into that airspace. I only want to cut where it's sealed. So I'm going to cut just a little bit outside of that airspace. And it may make it a teeny bit too big for its case, but we'll see. And I'm just barely cutting, trying not to get too close to that edge. I think it's going to be too big though. I'll try it and see. Okay, so there is the color chart, and she can flip it over and use that as a mini mixing palette. And I know some of these paints are still wet, but I'm still going to go ahead and try it out. I may make a mess with that phthalo blue, but we'll see. The good thing is the tape is just a hair wider than the top of the box, so it should keep it from oh, perfect, looky there. And so then we can slide it off, and there's the list. And let's see if we stuck to anything. We did not. Yay, success. So that worked out really well. Maybe this has inspired you to make your own mini palette, and I hope that my friend gets a lot of use out of this.